Right then, good afternoon, everyone. Today is August 21st, 2020. This is a special meeting of the members of the State Liquor Authority being conducted in Albany with remote appearances by the members. We have Chairman Bradley on the phone. Chairman Bradley?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. We also have Commissioners Fan and Commissioners Ford, who can be seen on the video. We have General Counsel Meyerhoff, who's also can be seen on the video. We have by phone Deputy Commissioner of Licensing Roberts,
I'm here.
and myself, Secretary Donahue, here in the Albany office. We have 4 items on today's calendar. One is a request to amend an existing delegation of power. The other 3 are requests for emergency orders of summary suspension. We'll get started. Chairman, unless you have anything else, we'll get started with those items.
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, then the first item is 1035S. It's a request from Council's office regarding the existing delegation of power to Council's office and to amend some of those provisions.
Yes, thank you, Tom. Good afternoon, members. The reason we're requesting this revision is issues have arisen with a particular licensee refusing to appear to be questioned about a summary suspension and their management of the licensed premise in connection with it. And I checked the delegation to Council's office to confirm that what I believe to be the case, which is that the licensee had an obligation to appear if we noticed or requested the appearance. And in reading the delegation, the way it's phrased, it's slightly paraphrased from Section 17 of the ABC law. I suppose it could be read to require the authority to have to subpoena its own licensee to answer questions about the licensed premises. And that has never been the case. We routinely not only invite licensees in to answer questions, but we charge them with a violation when they refuse, and the members assess discipline in that context. That is the way in which we enforce the right to interview and question under oath our own licensees. So in an abundance of caution, because I do believe this issue may repeat, as licensees wish to decline to be examined about the way in which they're enforcing executive orders and making sure that the executive orders are being followed. We're asking the board to amend the delegation to Council's office in the way we've provided to more closely track Rule 17, ABC Law Section 17, and to clarify that the enforcement under Rule 53.10 of the rules of the State Liquor Authority would be available as a means to enforce that power, which the authority has, and which would then be executed by Council's office in inviting these licensees to participate in the hearings. If there are any questions, let me know.
Commissioner Fan, any questions?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
None here, thank you.
Chairman Bradley?
Yeah, I just have one question. So just to be clear, I believe the law is clear here that the licensee is required to come in and answer questions under oath, and all you're doing is asking us to delegate that power to you, much as we delegate other powers to other areas of the agency.
That's correct, but I'm not even asking you to go that far. I'm asking you to I think we've already been delegated that power. I just want to make sure that the language of the delegation is clear so that there would be no confusion about that. But you are correct in your description of the law.
Okay, no questions.
All right then, members, you have the existing delegation marked up with the proposed changes. So I'll ask your vote on the proposed changes. Commissioner Fan?
I vote to approve the amended delegation to clarify that Council's office and each agency attorney has the power to subpoena attendance, witnesses, and production of documents and anything else that they need in connection to hearing and examinations.
It's actually with respect, Commissioner Fan, it's not the power to subpoena. It's the power to notice and request their appearance actually without a subpoena.
Okay.
All right then, Commissioner Ford, your vote.
I vote to approve it as well, although I thought you already had that power. I mean, to request, to demand someone come in and be interviewed,
Yeah.
a licensee.
Correct. With respect, it's the authority's power, which is then delegated to counsel's office and to the enforcement
Right.
in investigating disciplinary matters. We do believe that we already have that power. We're asking for the amendment to just clarify that, because
Right.
we are concerned that someone might take the position that we would need a subpoena. We need to serve a subpoena on our own licensees to require them to appear, which we've never done, frankly,
Right.
or we rarely do.
Okay. I approve.
All right then, Chairman Bradley.
Yeah, I approve too. I think that I understand what you're doing. You're just making sure that the delegation itself is as clear as can be. I think the law clearly states that they, on enforcement or counsel's request, have to come in and answer questions under oath. So I'll approve the changes.
All right then, and just so you're aware, and so that everybody listening watching is aware, what will happen is there'll be a new delegation posted. There'll be a sentence added at the end indicating that it's going to be rescinding the existing delegation, and all the new language will begin the new delegation. All right, with that, we're going to move to item 1035T. This is a request for a summary order of suspension. King's OP 1319784. The licensee is Izzy's Fried Chicken, LLC.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Office of Counsel submits the licensee Izzy's Fried Chicken, which is located at 262 Kingston Avenue in Brooklyn, to members of the authority to consider an emergency order of suspension of their retail on-premise liquor license pursuant to section 401 subsection 3 of the State Administrative Act. The license was just issued on February 6th of this year, 2020, to operate as a restaurant. There are two principals, and the application submitted included the establishment questionnaire that indicated that the certificate of occupancy for the location was pending. If you look at Exhibit 3, the establishment questionnaire states that there would be an outdoor area used for the sale and the consumption of alcohol in the rear yard patio, and that they had all necessary and requisite permits as they indicated in their application. If you look at Exhibit 5 is the photograph that was submitted with the application. That photograph clearly shows that this is an outdoor space. It's not enclosed. There's no temporary or fixed roof depicted in that photograph. The establishment questionnaire states that there would be 72 seats at tables, 44 inside and 28 outside. Now, 2 days before the license was issued, in lieu of a certificate of occupancy being issued by the New York City Department of Buildings, they issued a letter of no objection, and that's dated February 4th, 2020. It was for the premises to be operated as a restaurant. However, if you look at the bottom of the second paragraph of that letter of no objection, it says that specifically states that the use of the rear yard is prohibited. Last night, on August 19th, the task force observed 5 patrons who were seated at separate dining tables in an enclosed area of the establishment, which is in violation of 202.38 of the executive orders. If you look at what's marked as Exhibit 2, it'll show the photographs of the enclosed area. And the area depicted in that photograph was formerly the yard that they had indicated on their establishment questionnaire that they would have outdoor consumption. This enclosed area is in direct violation of the New York City Department of Building letter of no objection, as considered to be an unauthorized alteration, since it had not been approved by the SLA. This is an illegal structure. This is not service in an outdoor open area. The photograph in Exhibit 2 shows an air conditioner in the wall, and if there's any doubt that this is the rear yard that's mentioned in the established questionnaire, just look at Exhibit 6. Exhibit 6 is a photograph from their own website, which indicates that they have a new, beautiful, heated backyard with seating for 60 plus. What's even more troubling is what the photograph doesn't show, which is an emergency means of egress. It doesn't show an emergency exit sign, and it doesn't show a fire suppression system, or even a fire extinguisher for that matter. To put it simply, this establishment is a debt trap. The Department of Health has defined outdoor space as an open-air space designated for the consumption of food and/or beverages, which may have a temporary or fixed covering, an awning or roof, so long as such cover has at least 2 open sides for airflow. What we have here before us is not service in an outdoor open-air area. There are no open sides. The licensee has exhibited total disregard for the health, safety, and welfare of all those associated with this place, the patrons, the staff, and even first responders. Not only are they recklessly jeopardizing the spread of COVID-19 to their patrons and staff, but they're doing so in an illegal and potentially fatal structure. The executive order was designed to prevent the spread of a deadly virus, and this licensee no doubt poses an imminent risk to the public on multiple levels. And we respectfully request that the members summarily suspend this license. Thank you.
Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
No, I have no questions.
Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
So the outside in the picture, it looks like it's like a canvas, a tent style roof. Is that what I'm seeing?
That's correct. That would be in Exhibit 2, with the photographs that were taken last night. If you look at what was marked as Exhibit 5, is the photograph that the licensee submitted with their application, which shows that it was a fully outdoor yard with no walls and no roof or ceiling.
Exhibit 5. Yeah, it's a little bit different. Looks like a backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, not anymore though. Yeah, no, I don't have any more questions. Thank you.
Chairman Bradley, do you have any questions?
So when you say you don't see a fire suppression system or an emergency exit or a fire extinguisher, that's because they're not there. Am I correct?
Yes, Chairman, that is correct. It's not depicted in the photograph, and there were 4 or 5 photographs provided, and I didn't see them in any of those photographs.
And the investigator pointed out that they weren't there.
He pointed out by way of his photographs. He didn't specifically state that they didn't exist. But as we know, for a second means of egress out of any structure, you'd have an emergency exit sign. That clearly doesn't exist. And we certainly didn't see any fire extinguishers depicted in any of the photographs from any perspective of the photographs that were taken out.
All right. I got it. Thanks. That's it.
All right, then, if no more questions, I'll call for your vote. Commissioner Fan?
Given the evidence presented, this place, this licensee is doing indoor service and in an area that is clearly a fire trap. And so I find that there's imminent threat to public health, welfare, and safety, and I vote to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford?
The violations of Executive Orders 202.3 and 202.38, in addition to the other charges and violations that were brought up by counsel and Commissioner Fan, I also vote to summarily suspend. It's a dangerous place right now.
Chairman Bradley?
Yeah, I vote to summarily suspend as well. It's obvious that they've built an illegal structure in an area that they don't even have a right to serve alcohol on, and it's primarily where they are now serving their customers. There's absolutely, as Commissioner Fan pointed out, a huge risk that there's a fire trap, not to mention the fact that it puts all its customers at risk of being exposed to the COVID-19 virus. So I want the public health, safety, and welfare.
Okay, then, we'll move to the next item, is 1035U, New York OP 1309534. The licensee is Nori Thai Bazaar, Inc.
Yeah, good afternoon, Chairman Bradley, Commissioners Fan and Ford, Senior Attorney Karamanal here on behalf of Counsel's Office in this request for a summary order suspension for Noree Thai Bazaar, New York, case number 147263. The original license date on this one is August 30 of 2018. On Wednesday, August 19th, 2020, approximately 6:41 p.m., two task force investigators, Investigator John Bettino, the New York State Office of Fire Prevention and Control, and Senior Investigator John Richechi of the New York State Police, observed alcoholic beverages being consumed by three patrons sitting at a bar in the interior of the licensed premises. They're clearly depicted as such in the file, in the pictures in the investigative report. The investigator also observed two employees not wearing face masks or not wearing them properly at the very least. The licensee is being charged with violating Executive Order 202.16 and 202.3 as a result of, as well as failure to supervise for these described violations. The need for licensees to guard against on-premises consumption of food and beverages in New York City during the opening is central to the governor's executive orders in the name of public health and safety and has been widely reported via media sources. In fact, at no point during any phase of the reopening thus far has on-premises consumption of food or beverages been permissible in New York City itself. As a result, it is the position of the Office of Counsel. It's simply not reasonable to believe that a licensed retailer in New York City could be unaware of his responsibilities to prevent on-premises consumption of food or beverages during the reopening. It is therefore the opinion of the Office of Counsel the licensee was fully aware of the need to prevent on-premises consumption of food or beverages during the reopening and merely chose to attempt to circumvent the requirement to do so in an effort to gain more customers at the expense of his more responsible competitors who have chosen to follow the rules. Due to the foregoing, the Office of Counsel hereby requests a summary order of suspension be issued for this license. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, it's Gary, and I just want to add that as you can see in the picture, it's actually kind of a cramped space with you can see a looks like a champagne glass on the bar with alcohol with fluid in it, and a bartender and people kind of sitting closely. This is the way it looked when we happened to be there on this occasion. Obviously, no issue from the owner or manager's perspective about serving inside in this atmosphere. There's really no excuse for this. So we submit the matter to the members.
All right, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions, Tom. Thank you.
Chairman Bradley, any questions?
No questions.
All right, with that, I'll call for your votes. First, Commissioner Fan.
This licensee violated the governor's executive order designed to contain the spread of COVID-19 in the state by allowing indoor service and service without face covering. Given the evidence presented, I find that there's imminent threat to public health, welfare, and safety, and I vote to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford, your vote.
I vote to summarily suspend for all the same reasons.
And Chairman Bradley, your vote, please.
Yeah, I summarily suspend. Indoor service has been illegal for months now, and it's an obvious risk to the public health, safety, and welfare, and a violation of the governor's executive order that was put in place to prevent that risk. So I vote to summarily suspend.
All right, then we'll move to the next item, which is 1035B. It's Queens OP 1317983. The licensee is 49-14 Worldwide, Inc.
Good afternoon, Robert Buckley for Counsel's Office. Good afternoon, members of the authority. This licensee is located at 4914 Queens Boulevard. I've submitted 3 separate attachments. That would be Investigator Stravali's report, and I see there's also a police report which has a error in it. It's not Northern Boulevard, but in fact Queens Boulevard in Woodside, New York. The premises has a DBA of privileged. This license was issued just this past June 30th, 2020. It has, prior to this license being issued. The prior licensee was a gentleman's club having topless entertainment, just like this licensee, whose license was issued during the, after all these executive orders that are relevant here have already been issued. But the method of operation would be indicating as topless entertainment. The premises is on the ground floor, having a capacity of 65 persons, and a second floor having, I believe it's 6 persons. Last night, Thursday, August 21st, going to early this morning, excuse me, the 20th rather, Thursday the 20th, going to early this morning, the 21st of August, Investigator Stravalli was accompanied by NYPD vice enforcement detectives doing an inspection of the location. Upon arriving, there was a security guard without a mask who tried to prevent the investigators from entering, but they were able to enter. Immediately, there were 2 employees who were without masks, and there was a manager, Frank Corniglia, who Investigator Stravalli has told me he's had dealings with before in similar circumstances, who also was not wearing a face covering. The one female, upon seeing Investigator Stravalli, reports, went to the race to the rear of the location. In the rear location, Investigator Stravalli indicates he saw in the rear yard a structure that he described as being comprised of either solid brick or painted block with a plastic tarp. And inside there were 33 persons at least. Actually, I checked the lease. I'm sorry to submit that, but the lease indicated that when this present licensee assumed the lease, it was permitted to use the demised premises, i.e. the building, for its business without any sort of windows. So it did indicate that the premises could use a rear yard. So I don't believe the executive order would even permit outdoor service because the licensee does not have control of this premises by lease or ownership. But as I said, in the report, Investigator Stravalli describes the structure, as well as the vice detective describes an overwhelming odor of marijuana inside the location. Investigator Stravalli does indicate that there were some people apparently that appeared to be smoking marijuana. There was marijuana recovered on tables inside the location, and a summons was issued to Mr. Corniglia for disorderly premise drugs. Again, there were persons standing, persons seated around tables, not social distancing, most not wearing face coverings. Again, this location has only been licensed for just over 7 weeks. I've also submitted a police referral from a Lieutenant Dakar, the Victor A.C.A.R.R., the Special Operations Lieutenant for the Waterway Precinct, who made a visit to the location on July 16th of 2020, based on the fact that there were some 301 complaints that were received regarding the location. And we just received the substance of those complaints, and it appears that there have been complaints starting about July 5th for excessive noise, naked women, but mostly for excessive noise coming from speakers that are attributed to the location. The premises are located on Queens Boulevard, which is a commercial strip. It's in the middle of between 49th and 50th streets. But in fact, there appear to be residents that I saw from Google. So if their premises did have music, it's certainly possible that neighbors could hear that music. The lieutenant indicated that the premises was primarily using the rear area as business, which again, since it cannot use an indoor area under Executive Order 2 or 2.3, the lieutenant did indicate that there was this structure that Investigator Stravalli saw last night, but he did indicate that people were smoking hookah. So it appears that right from the beginning, this premises has violated the various executive orders, and certainly there was violations on this, again, last night and early this morning. Again, Investigator Stravalli indicates in the report there was hookah being smoked, there was hookah tobacco found, as well as appeared like pint-sized containers containing mixtures of juice with tequila and vodka, a fire extinguisher not posted properly, and an exit block. Investigator Stravalli also just found out this afternoon from and Inspector Sacklow from Department of Buildings that in any event, this rear yard is not to be occupied due to lack of egress and lack of public assembly plan. The capacity inside again is 71, so if they don't have any more persons, over 74 persons, they need a place of assembly permit, which this premises does not have. He also continues that Investigator Sacco indicated that the hookah venting in the basement that Investigator Stravali saw last night would not be approved. There's a risk of carbon monoxide asphyxiation, and as well as the kitchen in the basement would not be allowed. Now, there's the premises again is licensed as a nightclub with a limited menu, only a few items, pizza, mozzarella sticks, salad. According to Investigator Stravali, the premises did have some food that is more or less food was issued to tables where the people were sitting, not so much a food order with every alcohol beverage served like is required under Executive Order 202.52. And again, as I passed through Investigator Stravali's report, this morning the principal, Carlos Guillaume, wrote a sort of apologetic email to Investigator Stravali indicating the things he should have done, but reading this email, it seems that Mr. Guillaume doesn't quite get it. He indicates that he'll try to alter his, what he calls an exterior rain tent, that he still have tobacco sales, the non-tobacco, hookah sales are non-tobacco hookah. He's still indicating he's going to have these bottles filled with beverages, just the ingredients are to be known. But again, you can't, as well know, we can't have pre-mixed beverages. So again, it seems that this licensee has violated the several executive orders, as I cited, as well as 202.38 and 202.43. And again, that social distancing was not complied with, face covering requirements not complied with, the Department of Health guidelines for an outdoor area. If there was a legitimate outdoor area that was legal, the only egress would be back through the bar. There were no markings for persons to follow, no separate egress, I believe, the employees and patrons need. So for all those reasons, I believe there is a showing that the public health, welfare, and safety is being jeopardized, and council's request whether members will consider issuing an emergency order summary suspension.
Thanks, Bob. Gary Meyerhoff here. This is another example of a location that, in addition to not having the right to serve outside in this backyard, chose to cover it in a way that would essentially trap any virus that was inside, and had several people inside eating and drinking and smoking. Obviously smoking marijuana, with a manager on the premises who could not have known that the marijuana was not being smoked. A lawless scene that from a brand new licensee who then writes an apology letter that does not even acknowledge a violation of the executive order on inside service or how that could have happened or what would be done to make sure it didn't happen going forward. An egregious case in our view. Thank you.
So, may I add just one thing? I'm sorry. As to the marijuana, again, Investigator Stravali indicated to me this morning that Mr. Carneglia did seem to acknowledge that people were smoking marijuana. And again, as the investigator described a strong odor, and the detective described it as an overwhelming odor of marijuana. And again, there's been it was a prior complaint of marijuana at the location that Lieutenant McCarr responded to on July 16th. That's all I have for that.
All right then, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
Mr. Buckley, so they found the premix frozen beverages behind the counter, but in the pictures that I see, I don't see service of that alcoholic drink. Do you have any further information about that?
Yes, only Commissioner Fan, to the extent that just before actually came into the room, there was actually the referral from the vice detective, and part of the photograph show a cooler with about 10 of these bottles, sort of like those drink bottles, the pint drink bottles, all the same with these same orange lids to them. Whether they were served or not, I don't know. There's not information. I think they just indicated that they were sort of frozen in this cooler. And again, Mr. Grillon in his email this morning to Mr. Stravali indicates that we'll temporarily remove the frozen drinks till we can properly show on each bottle the ingredients in clear sight. Again, you can't, as you know, we can't bottle your own alcoholic beverages in a retail premises. So whether they were sold or not, it doesn't seem in the photographs where these people were drinking from these bottles. It's not clear. I'm sorry, I can't give you any more than that.
Okay.
All right, then, Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Chairman Bradley?
I have no questions.
All right, with that, I'll call for you.
So I actually have a question for council. Can I just give Gary a call separately, or do we all have to get on the call?
You can speak to council. We can take a brief recess while you contact council.
Okay.
All right.
Is
so
it a
what
question? Is it a question we can just do right here, or do you think you need to speak privately?
Let me talk to her separately.
Okay, I'll stay on the line.
All right. So.
All right, thank you.
I'm just going to ask you all to mute your lines. And I'll take a brief recess.
We're back.
And so we're ready to proceed with the meeting then?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, then. I think we left it with, are there any more questions? Commissioner Fan, did you have any more questions?
No, I don't have many more questions. Thank you.
All right, with that, unless anybody else has any more questions, we'll proceed with the vote. Commissioner Fan,
Given the evidence presented, I find that this licensee violated the governor's executive orders by providing indoor service and entertainment that are not allowed at the current moment, and a bunch of other violations surrounding the ABC laws. And I find that there's imminent threat to public health, welfare, and safety, and I vote to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford, your vote.
In addition to executive order violations to do with the COVID-19 pandemic, this licensee has violated many other health and safety violations that make it a danger to the public health, safety, and welfare. So I vote to summarily suspend.
Okay then, Chairman Bradley, your vote, please.
I think this place is clearly a risk to the public health, safety, and welfare on multiple levels. I'm going to vote to summarily suspend.
All right, thank you. I have nothing else on the calendar. Chairman Bradley, is there anything else you want to raise at the meeting?
No, thank you all.
All right, with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.